Hello, third graders. I hope you're all doing well. I miss you so much, and I hope we can see each other real soon. Okay, so our lesson for today is about soil. Now, if you think about it, and if you ask yourself, what is soil really? Now, if you think about it, soil is not just dirt. On the contrary, it is one of the most important things that are found on Earth. You see, this plant and all kinds of plants, they need soil to grow, right? And without plants, then humans and animals will not be able to get any kind of food or oxygen. So without the soil, the plants will die, and if the plants die, there will be no food and oxygen for any kind of animal or even for humans. So soil is very important. Now let me show you some of the living things that are found in the soil. If you look at the first picture, these living things, or organisms we say, because organisms means living things. So these organisms here in the first picture, these are called earthworms. They live in the soil. And here in this and these two pictures, I tried to show you kinds of bacteria that live in the soil. And in the last picture, I was trying to show you kinds of fungi, or these are kinds of mushrooms, but they are totally different from the mushrooms that we eat at home, because the mushrooms that we eat at home, they are edible. And when we say edible, we mean they are able to be eaten. But these kinds of mushrooms or fungi, they are not edible, but they have a very important job. The fungi and the earthworms and the bacteria, you see them? Their job is, when any kind of animal and plant dies and it goes under the soil, their job, the earthworms and the bacteria and the fungi, is to break down all of the dead plants and animals and turn them into nutrients in the soil. And when they make them nutrients in the soil, they will make the soil rich in an organic mixture. When we say organic, I mean it is coming from organisms, or it came from living things, okay? So when it makes the soil rich in organic stuff, we call this organic mixture, we call it humus, okay? And humus is a very important part of the soil. Now let me show you the parts of the soil, or what is the soil made up of, okay? So in this picture, I was trying to show you the four main parts of the soil. You see, the biggest part here is about soil solids, or teeny tiny bits of rock that make up the biggest part of the soil. Now these tiny pieces of rock, they came from bigger pieces of rock, but this took a lot of time, like hundreds and sometimes thousands of years to form. And I'll be attaching a video later on another day about how life on Earth started, when there were big chunks of rocks, and then with rain and wind and a lot of sunlight and snow, those big chunks of rock, they started weathering. When we say weathering, we mean becoming smaller and smaller and smaller pieces of rock until they became teeny tiny pieces of rock like here, okay? So the soil is made up of teeny tiny bits of rock, some amount of organic matter, we call it humus, and of course some air and water. Let me tell you why air and water are important. Because under the soil there are those living things that I told you about, the earthworms and the fungi and the bacteria. So of course they need air to live and get oxygen and move between the particles of the soil, and they need water for the same reason. Okay, so I tried to show you a summary about the whole thing as a wrap up. So the parts of the soil are teeny tiny bits of rock and humus, which is the organic matter, and water and air. Now one last note is, you see this part about the soil, humus. When we have a soil, a kind of soil that has a lot of humus, then we say that it is a fertile soil. You see this word here, fertile? And a fertile soil, we say that it is a soil that is very good for planting, okay? So I just wanted to show you here different kinds of soil, and you see, as you can see, different kind of soil. They have different colors, but this part we are going to be talking about it later in a different part of the lesson. And that's it for today, and I'll be posting more videos soon. See you guys.